Hello, everybody. My name is Shikama, and welcome to my show. A federal judge in New York on Monday ruled for Apple in a similar case to the San Bernardino case over a locked iPhone belonging to an admitted drug dealer. In a 50-page ruling rejecting almost everything federal prosecutors had argued, Judge James Orenstein ruled that Apple could not be compelled to help give information off a locked iPhone used by a dealer, Jun Feng, under the 1789 All Writs Act, the same law at issue in the California terrorism case. Orenstein acknowledged that the debate over encryption and the need of law enforcement requiring balancing competing interests, but Congress, not the courts, should make that decision, he said. Quote, "That debate must happen today and must take place among legislators who are equipped to consider the technological and cultural realities of a world where predecessors could not begin to conceive," the judge wrote. "It would betray our constitutional heritage and our people's claim to democratic governance for a judge to pretend that our founders already had that debate and ended it in 1789. Prosecutors had argued that Apple was connected close enough to Feng's iPhone to be compelled to help, citing a 1977 Supreme Court ruling that the All Writs Act forced New York Telephone to assist in recording numbers dialed from a suspect's phone. They sought to have Apple bypass the phone's passcode security and extract Feng's personal data from the phone. But Orenstein rejected that logic. Quote, "To the extent that Feng used his iPhone in committing crimes, he used his own property, not Apple's," the judge wrote. Unlike the telephone company in New York Telco, which owned the facility used for criminal communications, Apple had no ownership interest in anything that the record reveals Feng used to commit a crime. The ruling comes a day before FBI Director James Comey and Apple General Counsel Bruce Sewell are to face off at a congressional hearing over the encryption issue. Comey and other law enforcement says Apple's increasingly strong security features are thwarting their ability to catch crooks and terrorists. Apple and the other technology companies said the strong security is needed to protect the exploding amount of sensitive and personal information stored on phones by billions of users around the world. Quote, "This case is not specifically about encryption, not even about computers," says Lance Hoffman, a computer science professor at George Washington and founder of the Cyberspace Security Policy and Research Institute. "It's about how can any tool be used, about how the whole digital world should evolve." In Monday's ruling, Judge Orenstein also concluded that lawmakers had rejected requiring companies like Apple to help with decrypting encoded information when Congress adopted the 1994 Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act. The law requires telephone companies to assist in carrying out wiretap orders, even if the companies had encrypted the communications. But the law also exempted other kinds of companies from having to assist in decryption. Apple's lawyer, Mark Zwillinger, pointed to this CALEA portion of the ruling as crucial. Quote, "George Orenstein's ruling makes clear the government was seeking legislative authority from the courts that Congress had chosen not to provide in CALEA," Zwillinger said. Also, the ruling makes clear that the legal issues do not necessarily turn only on the burden that the order places on Apple. Instead, the found that the authority that the government seeks violates the Constitution because it undermines the general protection against tyranny that the founders believed required the careful separation of powers. Apple has made similar arguments in the higher profile California case, where the FBI wants even more help from Apple to get information off an iPhone used by a deceased San Bernardino shooter Saeed Rizwan Farouk. Farouk's phone, running more recent Apple software, has even more of its data encrypted. In that case, the FBI wants Apple to write a special, new version of its iPhone software that weakens the phone's security so the agency can attempt to crack Farouk's passcode. Orenstein's ruling on the New York case isn't binding over the California case, although Apple will likely cite his conclusions to bolster this argument. Apple and government attorneys have disclosed a total of 12 ongoing cases over encrypted iPhone data. Ultimately, the matter will probably end up before the Supreme Court if Congress doesn't clarify the situation with new legislation. Since the iPhone hit the market in 2007, Apple has agreed to help get information off the device for law enforcement agencies in at least 70 prior cases. But George Ornstein stopped the run of cooperation last October when, in his own accord, he questioned whether the All Writs Act was sufficient justification to compel Apple's assistance. The case didn't get much attention until recently, when Apple resisted helping unlock the phone in San Bernardino's case. In a December 2 attack, Farouk and his wife, Tashim Ali, killed 14 people, blah. Apple turned over the FBI data from Farouk's phone backed up on its iCloud servers, but has so far resisted writing the new software that the agent says is needs to crack Farouk's passcode and see what additional information may reside on the phone. I have an update to this. The sheriff in San Bernardino said that he feels that they will not gain any new insights even if they do crack the phone. So all of this is not to get this information. It will actually not do anything as far as the case is concerned. It will not help anything. It will not improve anything. This is according to the sheriff. So what is this really about? This is about cracking all of your iPhones and setting a precedent for the government being able to just simply walk in and say, give us the information off of this phone. That includes your phone. That includes your iPad, your whatever you have, whatever device you have. The government wants to be able to, without even warrants, to just simply go to completely circumvent you, go to the company and get the information from the company. This is tyranny, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show.